Hello, I'm Caroline Goyder. I'm a voice coach, public speaker and the author of The Star Qualities. And we're here today in the Piccadilly Theatre because I'm going to be passing on some top tips for confidence, speaking well and making a really great impression. How to learn accents. Accents are fun, and the good news is that actually, though some people are better mimics than others, most people can learn to do an accent. The trick is to treat it a bit like an actor. Actors spend a lot of time at drama school learning how to break an accent down, because actually it's not really enough just to mimic, unless you're really good, of course, because there are some sounds that you may not actually have in your own accent that are going to be difficult to produce unless you work out what's happening. So I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide to researching and learning about an accent so that you can do it with confidence. The first thing to do, and it's what actors are always advised to do, is to get out there and find people who speak with that accent. You've got to do a bit of field research. So say if you were having to learn a London accent, if you can get to London and find people who are a bit like the accent that you want, say you needed to learn an East End accent, well, you'd want to get down to the East End of London and sit in a pub and listen. And talk to people if you could. You don't even need to tell them that you're learning the accent, just have a chat. And the first thing to notice is what their face is doing. Because often accents are produced by what's called placement. So for example, a London accent has quite a lot of nasality, and you can tell it's got nasality because you can see the lines of the face. The lines of the nose show up in nasal accents, and that means the sound is heading down the nose, and that produces a very particular resonance. So if you can copy someone's face, you can start to really get a sense of what the accent is doing. You also want to be noticing, is there a tight jaw? What are the lips rounded? So a rounded sound is quite, received pronunciation looks a bit more like this, and a London sound has more of a wide face. And you want to notice, is it a round face? Is it a wide face? Is there nasality? You also want to start to notice the pace of speech. Are they going very fast? Are they going slow? What's the intonation pattern? Do they go up or do they go down? Because that will really help you, and that's something you need to get right if you're to get the accent fully. So that's your field research, and really that's just noticing, absorbing, and then starting to get a sense of what that accent feels like. The next step, if you're taking it seriously, is to record someone speaking with that accent. Now, if you don't want to go all that way to do it, that you can buy online tapes of, say, a Brooklyn accent or a London accent, and they're definitely useful. But there's nothing better than going off and finding someone real to record. Because if you're playing a character and you need a 42-year-old publican from Bow in London, then it might be worth going to find someone with that specific sound. They're going to give you a really detailed breakdown of the accent. So the trick to do is to get off the internet the Rainbow Passage, which is a passage that has all the sounds of English within it. And you get someone to read that text and you record them. And then when you get home, you listen to that over and over again and you start to copy what they're doing. If you do that, you'll get all the sounds right. It's also worth taking about 20 sentences, and again, you can take them off the internet, or there's a very good book called How to Do Accents by Eda Sharp, which is worth buying, and that gives you a whole set of sentences that you can get someone to read to you. And if you learn those sentences, it really helps you with the accent. I'll give you an example. When I learnt Geordie, I had to have a sentence which said, Peter Beardsley is a bit ugly, but he scores a lot of goals. And although I still don't do a great Geordie, it really does help me get into it. And if you have a sentence like that, it'll just kick you into the accent when you need it. So you've got to do your research. You've then got to really get some core text that you can repeat and repeat and repeat. Then you go home and it really is just repetition. Some people get it straight away. My experience with most people is that it takes time. Each day you need to do some accent practice. And if you keep repeating, what happens is that the accent starts to drop down into your unconscious. And particularly if you're performing a character, you do not want to have to be thinking about that accent. You need to be thinking about the other people on stage with you. So get the accent so that you don't have to think about it by repetition. And then I would say the final piece, once you've done the practice, is to get someone with that accent to listen to you and to correct you, because there's always so much detail to an accent that however much you practice, there's probably something that you're missing, and it's well worth getting someone to criticize you and just give you a few pointers. So those are my top tips for doing an accent. Do some field work, record a speaker saying the accent, get those sentences down, then get yourself home, practice, 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 and then finally get someone to criticize you and give you a few pointers to really finesse it. And if you do that, you'll get the accent.